It'll be a bit of a different show tonight, guys. I forgot to put this on the screen, but it is just me and Gov tonight. Donnie was out sick, and Evan chose to take on a different path. I think he's going to focus mostly on season long and some of the dynasty opportunities he had last week. As you guys saw, he was on some guest appearances and stuff like that. So we wish him well. Maybe he'll join us at some point. You know, we're always trying to venture off and do different sports, anyways. We did the UFL, so like he always has an open invitation here. He knows that, so he might be back for a Thanksgiving, one-off show. He might stop in for the off-season type shows. For now, we're just leaving it open for him. We want him to, try different things, and that's what we do. We're trying different lineup builds. We're trying different shows. We're actually going to venture into more NBA content this NBA season, so that'll be really fun for me, Gov, and Donnie as well. We might even get into some underdog over there because I do think they take better care of their NBA product. But for now, talking about products and embracing new things, we have the Thursday night slate wide open this week with the Chiefs and Ravens game. Now, we knew that was going to be a fun game, running quarterbacks, offenses, new pieces on offense. You got rookie explosion. You got Mark Andrews was maybe questionable. It looks far more likely he's going to play. I saw an underdog, for example, they had likely receptions at over 2.5 at one point. So if you jumped on the under early, maybe that's an edge for some people because they thought he was going to be the starter. What happened, though, was this slate got kind of turned on its head because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was ruled out. There was a lot of, I thought, mispricing, to be honest. So I do think it's kind of a fun slate because it's a fun offensive team, the two teams actually, but there's a lot of nuance and a lot of newness to the teams. But some of the same old, names like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. So I do think we can do some interesting game theory stuff with this lineup.
Oh yeah, like the Thursday game is like it's great. I've been starting to dig into it already, but I've got my own personal lineup. I almost set. I'm just waiting on some certain news because there's already news. This is what I love about the NFL season. It's really starting to get it in there. There's gonna be news. We're waiting on stuff. I'll have an hour and a half. It's gonna suck because I have to work, so I will have to react on the fly to the Thursday night game, and then come home and watch most of it because I'll be home by 9 o'clock ish, hopefully.
But, and we do have some input from Donnie still. He was, like I said, he was joining us. He was going to join us. He got ill, but he still put together a lineup.
The man lost his voice. The man couldn't talk. It's understandable.
Totally understand. We actually don't want him on the show if he can't talk. It's just not going to be a good, representation.
Exactly. Then you and me have to talk the whole time, which is basically what you're going to get right now. I guess every one of you can decide. Would you rather just have Donnie sitting here at the bottom doing nothing? We'll see. All right. So, I'm really happy that this NFL season, again, I'm still weirded out that they haven't made a Friday showdown slate for DraftKings for the Green Bay Philly game. But it's fine, whatever. It baffles me. I don't understand. I'm sure they'll have it for any other game that happens on a weird Friday or Wednesday or something.
For anyone who's watched our show for a long time knows that me and you would do a lot of kind of one-off shows where we do a lot of game theory, and we did some kind of contest construction and different things like that. I'm really surprised because we saw during the Thanksgiving slates, they would do a lot of the single games, but then they would do combinations of the two games. We saw a lot of combinations at the end of December when they kind of did their Christmas kind of specials. I'm really surprised we didn't see a Thursday, Friday kind of combo of a two game.
They haven't. It's like they've left Friday completely off. It's like they forgot about the Green Bay Philly game for some reason. But oh well, that just means we get a Millie Maker on DraftKings for the opening.
See, we were kind of talking.
It's actually it's an okay priced Millie, but that just means there's a giant field.
Right. Well, we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe there was some international rules. Maybe they're worried about rosters, people getting there. I just wonder if it isn't they want to make sure these contests fill, and then they'll drop Friday at the last minute in a smaller quantity to see what fills. I don't know. Maybe that's a strategy unto itself, but we can adjust to that as well. But you said it. I'm excited for this NFL season. Every NFL season, I feel more and more prepared. Um, it's funny because I feel like eventually I was going to hit like a veteran kind of like lull or be like, I'm sick of DFS. I'm actually ramping up and more excited every year. Some of that's bankroll management, just being smarter with my money, being able to share it with you guys, being able to really dive into the gambling community and be like, I do this with my friends. This is our pastime. This is our time where we kind of joke around. We check up on each other. A lot of fantasy leagues will kind of do the same thing with their water cooler experiences. So this is a really fun time for me still. And so, but let's talk about some of the theory stuff outside of the fun and the excitement of it. What is some of the more fun stuff we could do with this lineup? Because we found out Clyde Edwards-Helaire was out. Now, Donnie didn't think that was a big deal, but I did. Not so much to say, oh, you have to play a backup for Kansas City, or even Pacheco is a guaranteed lock in a lineup, but it elevates all of this mispriced information. Someone is going to benefit from Clyde Edwards being out, and DraftKings priced him like he wasn't being out. They priced him as the number 2 running back. So, and then they priced Hollywood Brown as the number 1 or number 2 option in a high-powered offense. He's also out. So we got a lot of news in terms of starters that were projected that are not starting or don't even have any roles. And you might say, well, Gov, I know who the next guy up is, but in Kansas City's case, we're talking about rookies. And even Hollywood Brown wasn't a guaranteed, roster mover from last year. He was an addition. So now we're talking about a rookie who has no professional experience, almost forced to play, a lot in this game. So the ownership's going to be there. Do we fade it? Do we play it? Do we play it different? How do we go about it?
Honestly, I was actually going to see, I probably have ownership here. 1 second.
See, I like Worthy because he's so fast. He's almost got that Jamison Williams effect where it's even if he has a bad game, it only takes 1 catch. He has Jamison Williams speed. See, Donnie's trying his best. He's in the chat. He's still participating. He literally just has no voice. So hopefully he can contribute as much as he can, and we'll still have a good show. But am I totally wrong?
I've got. All right, so who were we talking about again?
Worthy is the decision point. I feel like because he
is right there at the ownership level. So yeah, there's 4 guys ahead of him, but it's the 4 guys you would expect, the quarterback, Kelsey.
He's a rookie. We don't know what role he's going to play, but he almost has to play a prominent role. I think a prominent role in terms of how we build this lineup because he's got breakaway speed. Now, is he going to hit a rookie wall? Is he not ready for the professional ranks? Is the ownership going to scare us off? Maybe, but he literally has 1 catch ability to go to the house, kind of Jamison Williams where he could be a huge disappointment, but all it takes is 1 catch in the 4th quarter. You can go from 0 to 10 points in a showdown. That could be the difference. That's my problem.
Yeah. See, I can see why the ownership, because he is at a good price for being the number 2. No other number 2 targets that price on this slate.
Now, to be fair, we're basically doing this as kind of a celebratory thing for the beginning of the year. Now, on my personal lineup, I'm playing him because I feel like the ownership's going to be there, and he's got that slate breaking ability that I just can't fade. It's like Lamar Jackson. Anytime Lamar Jackson's on a showdown, I'm going to play him either in the flex or captain almost every time. I get why some people would build a theory or a a game structure around fading him, but that's not my style. I just GM in the stars. I find a way. But I'd be willing to listen if you have a different idea. But I do think we have to play a receiver from Kansas City just because Hollywood's out and Clyde is a pass catching running back. As much as people like to flame him for just being a kind of a bust at running back, he never lived up to that first round potential, but he was going to carve out a role at some point with Kansas City, I feel like. So somebody is going to fill into that role.
See, and that's why I think they picked up P. Ryan. P. Ryan's going to be a perfect backup to Pacheco.
Yeah. I actually have P. Ryan in my lineup as well.
I think. Yeah. See, I like P. Ryan a little bit, but like they also have that rookie Carson Steele, so like he is also interesting. But
and again,
like I agree, but like I'm kind of with you on your first point. It's like I need a piece of the passing game. No Hollywood. It's going to be condensed between Kelsey, Rice, and whoever their deep guy is, which it looks like, from all intents and purposes, is going to be Worthy. So, like, I want one or more of those three, and I kind of want Mahomes in this lineup. So, like,
I agree with that. I guess here's the better question, Gov. In what case is Worthy not worth it? Because we basically both agree that he probably is. I don't know if there is a case where he's not worth it.
The case where he's not worth it is where you don't need Kansas City offense.
Right.
If there's a spot where all you need is like Mahomes and Pacheco, that's the best scores they got because no one really gets a touchdown outside of Pacheco. Maybe even Mahomes rushes one in himself. Maybe you don't play the passing game, like you play Mahomes, Pacheco, and Steele, and then you load up on Baltimore because you think Baltimore comes out and wins and they score the points. So like the spot where you don't play Worthy is where you're probably playing like Lamar and Likely or Andrews. Like instead of Worthy, you're playing Andrews at like $800 more.
Right, you're just playing the rushing upside of Kansas City. You're basically, but at that point, you said it. You want to play Patrick Mahomes. I don't say there's a reason not to play Patrick Mahomes. I'd almost want to play both quarterbacks and then figure out what we do from there.
Yeah, would you captain a quarterback?
I would.
Because I still think that's a viable thing to do. Like,
normally
that is a very chalky thing to do. It's like if you run a projection set, it's gonna give you a lot of quarterback captain just because that's how it grades out with the floor projection of quarterbacks and what they'd be at captain compared to any other player.
And Donnie, you're in the chat, so you would play Steele, I'm guessing, because of the price, like the price savings between even him and P. Ryan, because I believe P. Ryan's in the 3K range, Steele is in the 200 range. So it's basically a free play as long as you think he's going to get some work. Now, I should say Carson Steele is a rookie. You've already mentioned that, but he is kind of a Peyton Hillis kind of fullback, kind of a bruising type running back, very much the same way.
Yeah, see, so like he's like touchdown or bust. So like I could see using him just because he's min salary, but like I think I like P. Ryan better. So like I think so let's plug in P. Ryan in the flex.
Okay, that works for me.
All right. And then do we want to play both quarterbacks and do like that's the decision. Are we going to captain one of them if we play both? Because if not, we just need to plug both quarterbacks into the flex too. You're going to captain P. Ryan right there. You got to click flex first. Nope.
Oh, you're right. I don't want to captain. I like him, but I don't want to captain him.
No. I think he's a good play. Like even coming in, like he's an old vet. He'll get used to Andy Reid's system. He can be a pass catcher, which Andy Reid likes in his running backs.
Now, I like to save money, and obviously it seemed like Donnie was more of a strong guy over P. Ryan. Would you play both running backs? Did you see a case for that? I wouldn't, but I'm curious.
I'm not opposed to playing both running backs. Like I could play Pacheco and P. Ryan.
Just because they're so cheap, right?
But if I'm doing that, I have to captain one of Pacheco or Mahomes.
Right, that makes sense.
And I think I'd rather captain Mahomes.
I think I would.
Let's just put Mahomes at captain.
Yeah, let's see what that
I
looks
know it's
like.
going to be chalky, but
I do like that. Whether we go with strong or not, I do like Mahomes because I do think a lot of people at that range would just captain Lamar Jackson because of his rushing upside.
All right, so let's put in Pacheco then. And then we wanted to try to play both quarterbacks. So let's just put in Lamar Jackson. See where we're at.
See, I think Mark Andrews is way too cheap. I know they were concerned about his injury, history, and maybe missing this game, but now he's completely off the injury report. Obviously, the questionable was a loose questionable at best, but now he's completely off. I think the only way you fade Andrews here is if you purposely did it because you're like, well, the ownership's going to be too high because
the way if our story's trying to tell a lineup, the thing right now it's like, okay, Kansas City is going to play really well. They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to do what they want. Mahomes is going to be on a deal. Lamar's going to still get his because he's Lamar. So like, who's most likely for Lamar to bring with him? I agree that's probably Andrews, or it's Henry who can get his on a run just like Lamar can.
I do like Henry. If we went with Henry, it would box out Travis. It looks like, but everyone else.
If we went Henry, we'd have to go with a really cheap play like a Carson Steele to end it out. So like maybe like let's scroll down and see if there's a cheaper guy we like that we can put in and then see what we can fit the other way. Instead of trying to put in the expensive guy and see if we have to how cheap we go. Let's figure out how cheap we want to go, and then we'll figure out what expensive guy fits.
We talked about Worthy being a good play, and Donnie
we might end up on playing Andrews anyway with who we got left. We'll see.
Right.
But yeah, let's scroll down and see who would, because I need to get one more Baltimore guy, but it doesn't have to be Andrews.
I think Worthy is the best price on the board considering his upside.
Oh man, I'm not against either kicker. I think they're both two of the better ones in the league, especially Tucker. And I wouldn't mind just having Tucker and Lamar. And then seeing what fits.
Let's see what it would look like.
We're at 66.
So we could go Andrews.
We could go Andrews or Worthy, basically. Because we're not playing any of the backup quarterbacks right there.
I like Worthy because we're captain and Mahomes here.
Yeah, I don't mind going Worthy.
Yeah.
That seems like a solid, like, if you think Kansas City is going to come out and be able to run the ball and run their offense and hit a deep ball, and Mahomes is going to look great, and Baltimore is going to keep up, so Lamar will get his, but they'll be kicking field goals. And
I was going to read off his lineup as well. Donnie sent a couple lineups over here.
I'm looking at his Henry captain one. Okay.
Yeah, I have a Henry captain in my personal as well, and I was kind of playing with a Henry or Lamar.
Yeah, that's about right. That's close to ours. Like we got Pacheco, he's got Rice, and then he just went on with Andrews. Okay. Then here's his Lamar captain. I don't really like his Lamar captain where he only has Flowers and then he's got an onslaught of Kansas City. But like I've seen crazier things work.
Yeah, I think with his Lamar though, he's purposely getting off of Andrews, going up to Flowers where
he's really like also using like he's hoping Carson Steele gets anything so that he can team jam in all of the guys.
But I love Stars and Scrubs, so I would be very biased and probably disingenuous for me to tout Strong because a lot of why I would play him is because he's a bruising kind of fullback, type guy. He can obviously get a goal line carry and get you there just on that alone. How else does he get there though? Like how many points does he need to get for you to feel comfortable playing?
6? Like, he gets 6, I know he might be necessary. Anything more than that, he probably will be necessary.
See, I would agree with you.
But even at $200, if he only gets like 2 or 3 points, you can probably get around that.
Right, and that's why I want to play him in my personal, because if he had the body type of like a Chandler, someone like that, or a scat back, like let's just say Tariq Cohen or DeAndre Swift, I'd be a lot more against it, even if he was a pass catcher, because it's like, well, he doesn't got that one great skill set, but he is literally a big body guy. He was kind of brought in initially, from what I had heard, to basically be the Kyle Juszczyk of the Kansas City offense. Like, he was meant to be a swift army knife in that backfield. Well, they didn't expect this role for him, but either the DraftKings, like you said, if they had projected this role for him, he would have been like 3K. The 200 price tag is a risk, obviously, but it's almost, I wouldn't say a free square, but like if you're playing it, you know why you're playing, and you're not playing it for very many points.
Exactly. Like, I actually like our lineup, really, really. Like, I'm checking it over with my stuff. It's like, okay, Mahomes is going to be owned, and he's captain thing is going to probably have high projected ownership. So it's like, usually you stay away from that. But like, we've got 2 sub 10 to 15% plays.
Yeah.
How
about we do this since Donnie's not with us, and we'll build our normal show before Sunday. Whoever's lineup does better, ours or Donnie's, they're very different. They'll get the first pick for our spread picks, and that's how we'll sort the order. Something like that. We'll put his lineup against us. I actually think that could be a fun little sweat between us.
I think this lineup smokes. I don't know. I kind of like this lineup. I want you to take it off screen. Don't dupe anyone. No, don't. I won't. I call this lineup right now. No, I'm kidding.
But
if 1,000 people win with this lineup, it's yeah. I hope all of you.
Well,
here.
If you remember when we did the UFL lineup and we actually hit Durant, we were very proud of that. One of the main things I was proud about is that we were able to share it. But we said the same thing, and this is what we're doing. Like, this is always the thing that I preach on this show, is we're transparent. I build these lineups with my friends. We talk about this. We have fun with these lineups. That's the whole point. But this is transparently what we're doing. We're not saying it's going to work. We're not saying we're geniuses. But these are just smart football people doing smart football things and applying a reason. Just last week, the guy said that our show reminded him of OWS, 1 week season. And that was a great compliment for me, because it's like they explain why they do things. And that's all what me and Gov try to do. We don't always try to come off as the prettiest people in the world. We don't try to come off as the slickest, talking people in the world. But we try to explain to you why we do certain things, and then watch it, play out. That's the fun for me.
Oh, it's just so good to feel like football season again. Like, I'm going to be able to build my own lineups. Like, tomorrow's going to be great. We're going to be back Saturday early. Like, we should have Donnie back. We'll be back with our Saturday shows should be about 2:00 every Saturday.
Yeah.
So you can join us then. We'll get our spread picks. We'll build our lineup together. And, it's football season.
Why don't we do that, though, to close? Like, okay, obviously I could tell the people, and I think you would agree with this, don't build a lineup tonight. Like, don't build a lineup with the idea that...
don't, go on.
But don't build a lineup with like, oh, I got to play this guy, or I got to play this. But what should you be doing? Like, should you be coming up with a stack? Should you be thinking about things? Should you have, like, your player pool built out?
You should be. You should be thinking about every possible scenario. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to build a lineup, but like, yes, this is this time to start thinking. What could happen? Maybe we screwed up with our lineup because we should have had Travis Kelce, because Tay-Tay's Eras tour is on hold until mid-October. So she will be at the game most likely on Thursday. So, like, who knows? I'm speculating. I'm sorry.
But I mean more for Sunday, like, so you got the Thursday game. It's going to kind of whet everyone's appetite. But like, if you were going to build a lineup for Sunday or prepare for for the weekend slate, what are some of the stuff you do? Do you start crossing off quarterbacks that you don't want to play? Are you tightening up your player pool? Are you just talking to your friends? Like, tell the people, because I'm always amazed how many casuals we get every season. Almost like, oh, the NFL's hit its peak. We're at the peak for DFS. It's gonna.
Well, basically, I'm at my normal. Like I want to say normal, but like, so what I would normally have been doing. As I've said, I've already been looking at a different leverage strategy that I might be using more this year that I think will help me. But like, what I would normally be doing is looking at these early projections and then looking at the high owned players to determine which ones actually, like, I want to look at the ones that have the most consistency are looking to be high owned and high projected to see what are they looking at, what's all that. I like to dig into that stuff so that I can glean myself at what the projection is telling me better. Like, I want to understand it more to get it better more. And like, I've been able to do that and look and find good plays and mostly stay away from bad chalk, as people call it. But not perfect. No one is.
My advice is kind of in between there, Gov, where it's like, we know who the chalk is and we know who the value players are, right? Like, you could say Luke McCaffrey might be the cheapest.
See, that's the thing. I don't think you do, because you could say Luke McCaffrey. If you could say Luke McCaffrey, because I wouldn't have ever thought Luke McCaffrey at freaking all. Like, I took him plenty in best ball, but I'm not considering playing him like at all.
Well, it was just a name that came into my mind, but you can think of a cheap guy,
George Polk, like, there's guys.
Right, Polk, Franklin. You could think of a low, like a bottom of the basement type guy. Even going in a different position, you could go to J.K. Dobbins or Sanders from your Panthers. We can always think of the low price guys, or you can think of the high price. For me, at this point of the week, what I'm doing is trying to find the middle, like that middle range that everyone forgets about. Who's the guy that, because you go with the cheap guy or because you go with the expensive guy, who's that like medium projection guy that you need in your lineup still? Like, where is that at? Like, for me, for example, it's like Chris Olave. Do I want to play him or do I want to drop down to Shaheed and get value there? Am I dropping right down to value right away and going with like Michael Wilson, or am I thinking of more of a 6K wide receiver? So like, I'm always trying to think of the range that everyone's going to forget about, because as the week ramps up, everyone's going to tell you their value plays. Everyone's going to tell you, oh yeah, Justin Jefferson's a good play. And it's like, yeah, we've been doing best ball drafts for the last month. We know who the first round, projected guys are, but it's that middle range that people forget about that I'm trying to hone in on myself. With that being said, though, you can tell we're excited. We do want to kind of save our voices and save some of our opinions for that big Saturday show. I do have some kind of presentation stuff I want to display. There's some larger conversations we have. And being an early Saturday show, I do think we can go a bit longer. We can kind of play with different timing and formats. So I don't want to have this show go on for too much longer. Do you want to give the people any more advice?
Nope. Like, I agree. Like, this is a showdown show right now. Like, normally this will be our review show. We might talk some other sports when hockey and NBA end up starting. We'll see what happens. But like, Tuesday's the normal review show, and maybe we look at the Thursday game. And Saturday we will be back with the spread picks and the lineup builder. Everyone's favorite.
Oh, I mentioned with you off air, but you guys, we don't follow it a lot, but I want to mention it because we do try to be transparent to the fantasy industry. FanDuel has made some changes to their game structure, so they added bonuses this year, and it looks like, at least for week one, because I got a free entry into their Millie, they have the Sunday night game as part of their main slate. So if you guys do follow FanDuel, I might put out some FanDuel content, either this week or next week, just as a little fun aside. But it does look like they're trying some things differently. and also trying to adapt to DraftKings kind of doing the bonuses as well. I think the fantasy industry has just figured out that people like points, right? People want to see a big point total to their lineup. Because really, Gov, if we're being honest, just give me the rule set and I'll play within your rules and it's fine. But the truth is, the casuals like to see points, you know. So I think that's why they went with that move. But with that being said, good night, guys. We're gonna get this will be our earliest show probably ever, but we do appreciate it. This way, you guys can just have this for the showdown content. It'll be out there. We'll get it out early this week. And take care. Rest your voices. Make sure your fingers are well rested. Good night.
Peace out, everyone.